to another segment of Straight Talk with Grover Thornton. It's always a pleasure to speak to you about the issues affecting our community. This program is designed to inspire, educate, and to inform you how government, national, state, and local impact our lives. We have a nice show tonight. I want to spend the time to listen to me and to listen to my guests. Tonight we have an excellent guest, the County Commissioner, Mr. Bobby Lockett. We will hear from him as we move towards the program. But I want to talk about a few issues that are affecting our nation right now, as I speak a little bit on the national issues. And that is this business going on with Mr. Trump, former president. The most embarrassing situation. This country is over 150 years old, and we had this time kind of foolishness going on. This is the first time this has ever happened. Now, he has 4 indictments, 91 charges. He has been indicted in Florida, New York. He hasn't been indicted in Washington, D.C. And the thing about it, and New York, he has 13 charges in New York, 34 in New York, I apologize, 13 in Georgia, 40 in Florida, 4 in D.C. These charges, I hate to say this, but this is the truth. Each one of these DAs are African American. The lady in New York is Attorney General. She has filed a suit. He cannot have any more business of his operation in New York anymore. And he has to go through a trial with the problems that he has there. He had a habit of purchasing real estate, and he would inflate it when it was time to sell it. And when they had taxes to pay, he would deflate. So that's some of the things that this lady from New York is going to bring against him. He has so many charges dealing with finance and not paying taxes in New York. And of course, then he has this problem in Washington, D.C. with Mr. Bragg, a black man, a DA, and he called the man an animal. He's an ignorant man. The lady said on the TV the other morning, how in the world did anybody would elect him to be president of the United States? But that man has about 47 million people, 47 million people following him. He has a cult. That's what he has. And I can't understand it. He's the leading candidate for the Republican nomination. They're afraid of him. They're scared of him. It's a shame where he has brought this country down. Also, I want to say to you about him, there's a group of people who have already filed a suit in this is a copy of the Constitution of the United States, the 14th Amendment, Section 3. It tells you if anybody takes an oath to uphold the Constitution and he's involved in insurrection or he involved in rebellion, he cannot serve as a federal official. But the problem is simply this. When you finish reading the paragraph, it says it has to have 2/3 of the House and the Senate to remove him. Now, the Senate does have the Democrat leadership, but there are a lot of Republicans, hopefully, would follow that lead. It has already been filed in the federal courts to reject him. Colorado right now has a suit, and they're trying to move him off the ballot for running for president. A lot of people are embarrassed about this man. This man is disgraceful. He say anything, he has no character, he has no decency, and he's representing the country. Look what he did with documents. He has secret documents that detail the operation when we're in war with Iran, if that happened, and with the allies, what position the United States would take in the strategy they were using. Then he says to somebody, well, I should show you this. Now, you had one man who lied up to uphold him in that place where he lives down in Florida. And what happens? He had a lawyer, the man didn't get any money, so the man left him. he lied. Now he gets another attorney. I don't know whether appointed by the court or whatever, but the man told him evidently that you got to tell the truth because you're headed to prison. Now he's going to testify against Mr. Trump when he comes up for the trial. Then Mr. Trump wants to say, tell the judge he wants to have his trial 2026. What is wrong with him? This man, the American people are letting this man just do all these type of things and getting away with it. He has always gotten away with things. He gets in these things, he come out smelling like a rose. But now we got him. He cannot get away with all of this. Sooner or later, they're going to bring him down. Also, I want to talk about the people that are going to prison for him. Now look at the Proud Boys. What he said? Proud Boys, stand back, stand by. What they got? 15. The Proud Boy head man got 22 years in prison. The Oath Keeper man and his partner, 15 and 13 years in prison. They've gone to prison for him. I don't understand that. Gone to prison for him. So the American people got to get out and vote. This man is a danger. Like President Kennedy was saying when they had the, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes about Mr. Marion in Alabama, when Mr. Marion was trying to get to university, and he talked about what they were doing, trying to disobey federal law, courts, and all. That's leading towards the path towards tyranny. And tyranny is simply that it's unjust, and the government has all of the powers, and they make all the decisions. That's tyranny. It's not democracy. That's tyranny. And we do not need tyranny in this type of government. We try to save our democracy. And it was wonderful to see on the television yesterday where all these presidential centers, the one that they built for Mr. Obama, Jimmy Carter Center, or the Bush's Center, Clinton Center, all of these people talked about democracy and telling the American people to stand tall and let's keep our democracy, because you have a right to disagree with the law. But good men say that we have to accept the decision of the courts. Otherwise, you have tyranny. Or you have communism, where you have no rights at all. And this man wants to be a dictator. And that big lie. He can really lie. Look at all these people been indicted, 19 people. And that man, Julia, what's the name? The man that's causing all this problem is in the DA in Atlanta. Fixed him very good. She embarrassed him. He's a supporter of Mr. Trump. So these are the things we have to do. We have to stand tall and support our democracy. And we got to vote. No question about it. We really got to vote. That's the only way to break this barrier that we are involved in. Now you take Alabama the other day. Under the 1965 Voting Rights Act signed by President Johnson, and that came as a result of all the business in Selma, Alabama, Marcher, Montgomery, and all of that under Dr. King. And so what happened? In Alabama, they drew the line, the districts, and there were 7 districts, and African American only had 1 out of 7 in which they could vote, not necessarily for a black person, but the right to vote for whomever they wish to vote for. Violation of the Voting Rights Act. And they said, forget about the Supreme Court. They don't pay no attention to the court. So they're going to appeal it. The judge say the same thing back again. Now they're going to go back to court. The court's already originally said they got to redraw another plan because that was a violation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So we're going to see what happened in that case, because the fact of the matter is this: they know that if we get people elected, it could be a big change within the House of Representatives. Now, since the Republicans took over control of the Congress by 4 votes and had a problem in New York, they lost, was unable to get those 2 or 3 votes, and it was another place, and we lost the control of the House of Representatives. But we still in control of the Senate, because Mr. Warnock won that election against that crazy man, Herschel Walker. But the fact of the matter simply is that we need to get control of the House of Representatives. That's the only way we're going to get things done. And they're talking about impeaching Mr. Biden. All these wonderful things that man has done. Infrastructure bill. They can purchase all this medicine, this high medicine with $300 and insulin, $300 a month a person would have to pay. Now, thanks to Mr. Biden, $35 a month. Infrastructure bill for roads and bridges. All these type things that Mr. Biden has done. And how in the way are you going to give the man a low rating? A low rating just of approval. Most of those people are Republicans that are doing that. Republicans, that they have not done anything but investigations since they took over in January. Tell me one thing they voted and done. Now we're about ready to have the fiscal year money to run the government. At the end of September, it runs out. The fiscal year starts October 1. So they don't have we have about 2 or 3 weeks, and it's time for the fiscal. They already talk about that crazy lady, Green, come talking about she's not going to vote keep the government closed until we do an inquiry on President Biden and his son. His son is not running for president. Why are they trying to accuse President Biden about his son? They mean like he got money from that and all that. Everything they've done so far has not been fact. It's only been speculation. So the fact of the matter is simply this. Mr. Biden has done an excellent job, and it's our responsibility. Now, this is about his age. Age is just a number. Biden is only 4 years younger than Trump. And Biden has character. Biden has decency. This man has no decency. Look how he talk about women. Use profanity and all. This man is awful. Worst president in the history of this country that we have to dealing with Mr. Trump. It's awful. Now we were supposed to have, I want to say this, that I always talk about Black history because our history, in particular in Florida, is being whitewashed. Now, Mr. DeSantis, who wants him president? He's a racist. Who wants a racist man president? He wants to do away with Black history. He does not want the white children to know the way Black people were treated. That's the bottom line. No question about it. That's the bottom line. And our country has been the biggest liar in the world. They're saying justice for all. We don't have no justice. Look what I just told you about Alabama. Instead of telling people to get involved with their government, learn more about their government, participate in their government, they're trying to keep you from voting. They want to disenfranchise you. It's embarrassing. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And then they walk around and say, we got a democracy. Got no democracy. How you gonna tell a democracy you want to do these things to your citizens? Like President Lincoln said one time, that all this slavery and all this stuff was going on, so we'll have people call us a bunch of hypocrites. And that's exactly what we are. We talk about democracy, then they'll go to church Sunday morning praising Jesus and come right back Monday, and let's keep these people from voting. They're fooling themselves, ladies and gentlemen. They're fooling themselves. Now, you take, for instance, this young man right here, James Meredith, applying to the university. I think I told you that before. But see, so long, our history has been ignored, and a lot of time it had been taken out of context. Lying, don't want us to do this. Not like Santos said, slavery has been a benefit to Black people. How can that have been a benefit to Black people? Now, if you reverse that and let Black folk been in charge of the white folk that it was in South Africa, and a Black man tells the white woman, I'm going to send your 15-year-old daughter up to my room to the big house at 10 o'clock. Now, she's not going to do it. No, but I know she better do it. Now, how would you like that, Mr. Santos? I had an opportunity to ask him that. This has not been no benefit. If you want to help a Black person, you say, look, I'll pay you so and so and so, and you can learn this trade. That's all he had to do. So don't say I benefited from that. You were forced to do that against your will. Now, you see, Mississippi, that boy want to apply to get a University of Mississippi. And this book I read, is the things in this book, the way that they did this man, David said he lied about living in the city in Mississippi. Finally, he lived there. They said he voted and lied he rested. Oh, there was so much. Over and over and over and over. And Mrs. Bartley was the NAACP lawyer, and she handled that case. And what they put that lady through and this young man through was just awful. Absolutely ridiculous and awful. But he woman, now he finished, and President Kennedy had to go on television to talk about the confusion, the chaos and stuff they had going on in Mississippi, at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. That's why when they play football, I don't have no respect for them. I'm sorry, because of the trouble they did. They had a riot. They killed one or two marchers. They set buildings on fire. It was just terrible. And it make you laugh when you read the book. As I read it, there were two white guys were working around in the buildings, and these two foreigners, they were brown-skinned foreigners, passed them in the hall. And one said to the other, he said, all this hell going on here about this black man trying to come into this school. Look at them two, they just passed. They already black. They already integrated. I had to laugh at that. But eventually he was able to graduate. But what he had to go through, they tried every trick in the book to keep this boy from graduating in that school. They made at the school, that black school that he was leaving, that it wasn't up to par. It was not accredited. All that, and it was accredited. So we as black folk, we got to teach our young people. They do not know the struggle that black folk really endure, and we're still in a struggle. Just story about Alabama. But how they gonna know if we don't tell them? How they gonna know? They don't know what it is to stand on the bus and you all the seats up to the front empty, and you got to stand. That man did me one time, and I refused to get up. I was going to Savannah State. I said, I'm not getting off this seat. And I knew I was going to jail. And two people, Bobby, on the bus. And one of them said, "Heck, boy, hold that thing, and I got to go to my job." I sat right there. And so I said, look, I want y'all to do me one favor. That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm not getting off this seat because nobody's on this seat. And no white people in here, and this is a black route anyway. And if it wasn't, I'm not getting up out of the seat.
That's what we had to do at that time.
And I paid my money. So he got off the bus, the driver did. At that time, you had the phone booths all out. They stopped doing that after people tearing up the phone booths and stuff like that. So when he got off the bus, going over to the phone, I told the two people sitting in the back, I said, I'm sorry that I'm making you late to your job. You can tell your employee what happened. But I'm not moving off the seat. But will you do me a favor? If they put me in jail, all I want you to do is call the NAACP office and ask to speak to Mr. W.W. Law and say Grover has been arrested because he would not move off the seat. And I was supposed to be in the East Broad Street School with Judge Gass's wife. She was the curriculum supervisor. We were supposed to observe some children in the class, how they operate and how to carry it on their lives, little children. So I sat waiting for the police. I guess that's who he was calling. But he didn't call the police. That's why I looked out the window, and this white man drove up in a Pontiac, never forget. So he stepped in one of us and he said, what's going on? I said, what's going on? I said, he wants me to move, and I'm not moving. And even though white folk on the bus, this is three black people, even white folk were sitting there, I'm still not moving because I paid to ride on this bus. And I was supposed to, it was about 9:30 or something, 10. I said, I was supposed to be in East Broad Street School at 9 o'clock. And look where I'm sitting. And this is a black route anyway. It was a broad local. Went from Broad Street, right around East Broad Street, around the circle. I sat right there. So the gentleman said, what's your name? And I told him, he said, come on, Mr. Thornton, and let me take you where you're supposed to go. And I got in this car. And he said these words. He said, I'll be glad when them so-and-so signs come down. And that's what happened. I refused to remove. I sure did. Sure as Christ my Savior. I sat right there on that bus. So these people don't know the things and the trials and the tribulation, the death, and all of the things that happen. They don't know. But it's up to the parents to tell these young people. They got our history. Our history is essential. They have ignored it. They suppressed it. Some parents, this article I was reading, where the lady did a research, and she found a lot of parents are taking their children to museums. They're taking them to black tours and stuff where they can learn about our people. I thought Ms. Gunn would have been here. She was supposed to be on the show to tell us about the statue situation. Well, I'll just hold on that to next month, because the city voted to rename that square in honor of Ms. And I want her to give everybody a briefing on what happened, but I want to commend the city and the mayor for the leadership of finally bringing that to conclusion, because we don't have now one square in this city. Then they go to Carolina and name a race of man and say slavery was not an evil, but slavery was a great thing for African Americans. And that's what Calhoun said. And he prided himself. Like this book right here that I read about reading it. This is the book of speeches. And I love to read it, and I read several speeches in there. One about Dr. King is I have a dream speech in this book also. And the thing was, he said about him, look, he had grown steady in the admiration and affection of the land and South. His very civility was a binding link, for it was the civility of a prophet determined to save a way of life, a white democracy. That's Calhoun, that is named the square after. But I want to commend the city and all the council members for that. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about this book, because I got to just keep, as long as I live and this show is on, I got to keep trying to tell the people, teach our children about our race. You see, they're trying to whitewash it. They don't want white children to know how bad they treated African Americans. And we made such a great contribution to this country. Free, like Lincoln said, toil without reward. 150 years of free work, free labor. So but our race can only be better than what we make it. But our children, they are the beneficiary of what we've done. Well, I'm going off the scene, but I'm proud that I worked hard for civil rights, sit-ins and all of that. Sat there in Crest, man, spit at me. It didn't make me no different. But I was not going to get off that seat. I was there with other people. We demonstrated during the boycott. Police put me in jail, put me in a car to take me to jail without keeping people out the stores. And I'm going to have to tell y'all about these boycotts sometime, sooner or later. I was so proud of my people. Churches every Sunday. If you didn't get there 4 o'clock, you got no seat. But see, our young people don't know nothing about that. They go in the Burger King, they go in the movies, but they don't know the sacrifices. Look what they did in Mississippi. Killed those 3 civil rights men. One was a white fellow, one was a Jewish fellow, and a black young man. They murdered them because they were trying to get people to register and vote. That's the fundamental background of a democracy, is the right to choose your leaders. And I get so despondent. These things going on, I don't hear nobody in the city is talking about voting. I don't hear it. The churches, I don't hear it. I don't go to every church, but I hope they start doing it. They don't talk about voting. Don't tell the young people where we come from, how difficult it was, how determined it was. These were the things that happened in the 60s, I'm telling you. We're sitting down and they just taking away our civil rights, and we have people in government not speaking out. And I would say this about Mr. Hall. I got to say it. My show is straight talk. Whether you like me or not, that's up to you. But I'm saying straight talk. Now, let's tell it like it is. Mr. Hall has several programs, including this one. And people are talking about the issues that are affecting black people. I don't hear nobody else doing it. I know I said it last month. I'm going to say it every time I get an opportunity to say it. Then my hats go off to him. Because the leadership that we had needed in this community is lacking. I'm telling you, sisters, telling you, gentlemen, that I'm telling you. I know how it was in the 60s. And I thank God I participated in it too. I paid a price, but that was all right. But I see good results. So what the sacrifices were done. Now I want to go on now. Miss Gunn for some reason didn't come. I'll let her give us a breakdown and what happened and how it was done to get the whole coalition of city council to participate and name that square. We don't have not one square in the city named after a black person. And I'm waiting to see what's going to be happening to take those Confederate things out of that Forsyth Park. Somebody said, "Oh, the legislature." We have open your mouths on legislation. Put the pressure on the city, the people in Savannah, but back it. Look what they did in Virginia. They took a gigantic statue, took 2 cranes to take it down to Robert E. Lee. Because what? The leaders spoke out. The leaders. But anyway, now I'm going to my special guest here tonight, Commissioner Bobby Lockett. Mr. Lockett, I'm happy to have you on my show tonight. I'm pleased to have you, brother.
It's a pleasure.
He's one of my Alpha brothers. We have Alpha brother, the mayor, and have a Alpha brother is chairman of the county commission. But I did invite the mayor several times, and he did not respond. But the county commission chairman, we met week before last week with Senator Warnock. And I asked him several good questions about government things that are happening. And he and myself and Mr. Wilhite, Brother Wilhite, and a few other Alphas, including the chairman of the county commission, the mayor came in also. And it was a very nice discussion. I asked him some questions about government, so did others, and he responded graciously. So, brother Lockett, I'm so happy to have you here tonight.
Good evening, sir. I could say sir because I have that kind of respect for you. I could easily call you brother.
Yes, sir.
Because we're brothers in the house of Alpha.
Yes, sir.
And I could call you professor because I knew you as a great educator in this county. But it's a pleasure. And first of all, I want to just tap in on what you just said about the days back. And I was back there then, and I experienced some of those same things you did.
Yeah.
And it's very necessary for people like you and Mr. Hall to keep this ball rolling and to tell our story. Because if you don't, and if we don't, nobody will.
Right.
And they are trying to erase our story because they don't want the truth to be told.
Exactly. Exactly. And if we don't tell it, then let our children know.
Then who will?
Exactly. Mr. Lockett, what district you represent in the county?
Sir, I represent the 3rd district.
Uh-huh.
The 3rd district in Chatham County.
Well, I know this about you. I've been knowing you a long time, long before you became an Alpha. I have been in the fraternity for over 60-something years. And really, right now, I'm the dean of the Alpha, so I'm the oldest.
And you had a lot to do with my coming in.
Yeah.
Because I look back at Bobby Hill, who was
Alpha,
there at Savannah State when I came. There was Otis Brock, who was a very strong member of the fraternity. And there was certainly Dr. Prince Jackson.
Yes.
But as a matter of fact, I remember when I applied for Alpha, I had to go get some brothers to endorse me.
Yeah.
And you, Grover Thornton.
Yeah.
Dr. Prince Jackson. And of course, Bobby Hill.
Yeah. Great.
And when I could go in there and present a letter from you guys, who could refuse it?
That's right. Now let's get down and talk about your position in government. I told you all the time about issues. We communicate all the time. If something happens, I call you, you call me. But I want to say this about Mr. Lockett. He sold automobiles for the Chevrolet company for years. He has helped millions of people, hundreds of, I mean, not millions, but hundreds of people get in the automobile because you helped my grandson. I signed for him for the car, and he paid it off to $27,000.
Did a good job.
Yes, he did. He paid it off. Worked hard and paid that car off.
But we can say that about many, Mr. Thorne. I got you.
But you've helped a lot of people, Carl. That's my point.
We can do that.
That you really were the dean of the salesmanship in Savannah and deal with automobiles.
Well, you know, we are here to serve.
Yeah.
Servants of all.
Now let's talk about the government now.
Okay, sir.
Your function in government, because you heard I'm speaking about government and people. We put our representatives represent us, and many times they're not speaking out on issues that really affect us.
Okay.
They should be speaking on voting. They should be speaking on employment. They always use the word I never could understand it. Economic development, but I don't see no development going on.
Believe it or not, there is quite a bit going on.
I think I'm just telling the way I see it.
Okay.
Now let me just ask you this: President Biden did something that had not been done since Eisenhower, when he created the interstate. Now, one reason why Mr. Eisenhower did that, from the reading I did, we're about to have war with Russia. You know that.
Correct.
Sooner or later, we're going to have it with China. I mean, I live to see it, but it's bound to happen. Every 20, 25 years, they're going to have a war.
And maybe both.
I mean, we're fighting both of the Russia, but we're definitely going to have it with China sooner or later. But Russia has trouble now with this economy right now. We did all that war with Ukraine. They're just draining all their resources. Mr. Putin doing that. And of course, that Mr. Trump, good friend, all of that. But the fact of the matter is this: they're in that type of war. And the thing I want to ask you is, Mr. Biden signed an infrastructure bill, along with other things he did. They're telling me, now I talked with the person in the city, and they said all the money is gone. But I see the ragged streets. Now, maybe the money was given to the state. That's where it operates. That way it happens, isn't it?
It starts from the state.
The state sends the money down to y'all. Exactly.
And the county sent it down
So the question,
to the various municipalities.
the question I'm going to ask you is this: have y'all used the money for roads and bridges?
Yes, we have.
That same thing that Mr. Ellis said the other day when we met with Mr. Senator Warlock. That was after Mr. Warlock was gone. Then there was a discussion, and I asked a question, same I'm asking you about the money. I said, but have you spent the money? But you tell me the city spent all this money. What somebody told me. But I see so many ragged streets here. Wait a minute.
Okay,
I would say this: the county seems to be running a better. Like I told Mr. Ellis, Shepard Ellis, the county seems to be running a better ship than the city. Lady told me all the money is gone. So y'all spend a lot of money, and your chairman, he's my chairman too, because we got this type of government, sitting government, that he was proud of what you all had done. Seems to me y'all don't have all this bickering that goes on with the city. That's just my thinking. What do you think about it?
Well, what I'm saying, I'm not putting anybody down.
No, not
building anybody up.
No,
but I will say this:
tell the truth.
we have a mature group on the county government, who doesn't necessarily always agree.
Agree, right?
But what we will not do is be disagreeable.
Exactly.
We don't always agree.
Sure.
Many times, but we sit down, we talk about it.
Of course.
And we compromise. And the art of negotiation is compromising.
Exactly.
And we believe if we just can't get together, we go bring in a neutral person.
Well,
or bring in other commissioners to sit down and talk with us. And if you can show, my philosophy is, if you can show me a better way, let's do it.
Let's do it. Now let me tell you where y'all just waste a lot of money. City in Savannah, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what was the main fact about what happened between this coalition of the police department and the police and the county departments, and when the negotiation broke down, I don't know who was responsible. Somebody said the city, somebody said the county, somebody was holding up their part of the deal. But the fact of the matter is that the citizens suffered because y'all waste all that money. They had to restripe all them cars and all that, just waste our money. Now, I remember Joe Mahaney told me years ago when he was chairman, he and I were good friends. He worked at school one time I worked. And he said that it would never work. I said, well, they tell me it working in Jacksonville. Why it work good in Jacksonville and not here?
I can't speak for Jacksonville.
You can't speak, but something got to be going on that wasn't going on here that is effective in Jacksonville. And Mr. Scott had the council thing. I don't know what happened. But y'all had to restripe all those cars, waste people money. instead of, I don't know what your tax digest is or nothing like that, but the people suffer. That's what I'm saying. The people suffer when y'all waste money like that. That's wasted money. But I gotta say, the county seems to be working much more effective than the city. You had this coalition here, a group over here, a group over here. But like John Kennedy said one time, similar to what you just said, that discussions bring on negotiations, and negotiations should bring on compromise.
Sure.
Nobody wins all the time. You see what I'm saying?
I understand that.
But I think y'all doing a better job at the county than with the government, financially, and economically, and fiscally.
Mr. Thornton, I believe, and we got an agreement among us. You can't first of all, leave your egos at the door.
Exactly.
When you come in here, leave egos outside. But put on your thinking cap.
Yeah.
And when you put on your thinking cap, let's discuss it. And let's decide not what's best for me or what's best for you in this room, what's best for the citizenry at large.
Exactly.
And once you do that, first of all, we want to make them safe. We want to make them secure, that they can sit out on that porch like we used to do and feel comfortable. Or kids can walk down the street or play in the street.
Yeah.
And feel safe.
Feel safe.
And that's what it's all about.
So what about the crime rate in the county?
Crime is up everywhere now.
Oh, it's all over the country.
It's all over the country now.
Yeah.
And first of all, we have a great chief in Chief Adley. And he has a good assistant there. And that's Mrs. Judy. I started to say Crocker, but Talbot. Miss Judy Talbot. She's our number 2 person who came over from the Savannah Police Department, who's a very experienced person and knows the lay of this land.
Mm-hmm.
So we also we look around. We also have a good sheriff, and Sheriff Wiltshire. Sheriff Wiltshire, you can talk to him. Sheriff Wiltshire will come into the community. Very seldom you can find anything going on in this community, and you don't see Sheriff Wiltshire, be it the NACP, be it the some of the other places. You go out in the other communities, you will find the chief out there trying to find out what he can do to make the area a safe area. And if they're not, he has a place over there for you. It's called the county jail.
Do you know how many percent African Americans in the county?
In the county, it's about 37.
About 37%.
Uh-huh.
So you got over 65% of the movement of white people.
Well, you got pretty good size.
Well, maybe that's why, like I said, maybe that's why things go so good.
Hispanic community.
Yeah, Hispanic community. Maybe that's why that thing goes so good in the county, because y'all really, and I'm not trying to be funny like that, but all the white people getting all the good deals, and the African Americans who live in that environment, and the Spanish people, they just rip from what y'all do. I don't understand why we have so much discourse in the city.
I would not comment on that because I don't want to seem like
I don't have you
I'm putting the city down.
No, you put it down.
I got great respect for the leaders.
Oh, I got good respect for the leaders. Right. Some of the leaders, I just don't like all that bickering and coalitions. That suffers the people. It suffers the people.
I would not comment on that.
I'm not asking you to put down anybody. I'm not going to put down anybody neither. But I'm just saying, I'm speaking fact. That the fact is that you just sit sometime to be on the television and the bickering and all of that. That's not discussion. You discuss your area, you negotiate, and like you say, you compromise. Everybody doesn't win everything he wants.
Mr. Thornton, let me just say this.
Yeah.
I represent Chatham County as a whole.
Sure.
But my focus is on the 3rd district.
Yeah, of course. That's true.
That's what put me there. 3rd district to represent.
What area does that encompass?
All right, 3rd district comes from Sandfly down to Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, it goes downtown come on down President Street into downtown, covers the majority of downtown. We go over to 30, go from Montgomery Street down to 37th Street.
But your area does encompass a lot of the white business area.
The business community,
Well, that's where the money is. They pay you for to pay the taxes.
as well as I have the Cala Brownville area.
Yeah.
And from the Cala Brownville area, I go over
Okay.
to West Savannah, down Bay Street.
Yeah, I know you. You was on. I know off Skidaway because you were at Reverend Small Church when they owned that great man.
That's Thunderbolt.
Another great man that I think of so much in Savannah.
Yeah,
That speaks
he's
out on this year.
good representative of Chatham County.
Yes, he is.
And from there, I go out to Garden City,
Oh,
then
you go
into,
there that too?
and then into Port Whitworth.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's a big district.
Yes, it is. It's quite a district.
So you have more white people in that district than black people,
Um,
and they make more
Yeah.
money than black people. So when y'all do have the tax base, you get more revenue than in the city.
You know, we
What?
got to say this, but Savannah, Chatham and Savannah, it's a working community,
Oh yeah.
and we do have good coordination between the different races. We have pretty good coordination between them.
You know, Savannah, even during the civil rights struggle, and I gotta say, Savannah always had a good relationship with white people. We now, not to say that they want to give in now. It was no easy thing. So okay, let's go. We had to fight for what we achieved, but the working relationship was excellent between the white and black leaders. Dr. Gilbert did a lot in this community to bring peace here. No question about it. He had that big fine organization. It did a lot. And the NAACP Political Advisor Council did a lot. See, people just don't know. Like I try to tell people the things that happened in the 60s and in the 70s and 80s with black accomplishment.
Yes.
We didn't always have no black person. River Stead was the first county commissioner.
By far. And if you
And
remember,
Bobby Hill was the first legislator in
modern time.
and the House of Representatives from Georgia said Reconstruction.
Correct.
The first African American went to the state legislature was Julian Bond.
If you would just remember, and I was at Savannah State, and I think you had just left.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
read it.
and,
Yeah,
You know, Bobby Hill was the president of the student body.
yeah, I know.
Bobby Hill led a boycott at Savannah State for what we call academic freedom.
Yeah,
And so we boycotted there for, I think, about 2 to 3 weeks.
yeah, I remember that boycott going
The
on.
chancellor sat down and told President Payne at that time,
Yeah,
get those kids back to school at any cost. That in the meantime, President Payne had expelled Bobby Hill. He was expelled from Savannah
Well.
State, and it was his senior year.
Yeah.
And I could just remember it as if it was yesterday. Douglas Weather, newscaster here, interviewed Bobby. And
that
he-
brother was a fine man.
he was a fine man, and he asked Bobby, said, "Well, Bobby, the boycott is still going, and they have expelled you." And he said, "Well, now, and you've been a senior, what are you going to do about your education?" Bobby, being the person that he was, looked at Doug very peaceful and said, "Doug, I don't know what I'm going to do about my degree, but I have my education." Did you hear that? I have my education. And you can't take that from me. You may deny me my degree, but I have my education.
Well, he
And that was
was.
a profound statement. Bobby was a profound person.
Oh yeah, he was one of the best lawyers this country to ever produce.
No question about it.
I tell you one thing, he went before the Supreme Court and argued the case to put the death penalty on hold.
And also, if you remember, Deanie Frazier had some family members who worked on that thalidomide case down in McIntosh, Georgia, where
The explosion.
that exploded, where a lot of blacks got killed in that and got hurt.
Yeah,
And Deanie finally got Bobby to represent her family.
yeah.
So then the rest of them heard Bobby speak, and they all
Well,
tuned in together.
I saw him one day in court. He
And
was
that,
magnificent.
And that, Grover, was the biggest suit against the federal government at that time
I
in
know.
the history of this country.
Yeah.
So that was.
Well, we had a lot of good people here. That's what I'm saying. It makes me feel so bad when I think about all the struggle, accomplishments that we make as a people. Now they've become so complacent.
Yes, they have.
I mean, no question about it.
Yes,
The
sir.
black people have become so complacent, and the white people taking things from us just as we sleep. They rip Van Winkle. Look at that about the voting. Look what they did. I just told you 91 in Alabama.
Mhm.
Look what it did.
Mhm.
Only 1 out of 7 districts.
You know, there's a saying somewhere in the good book. I gave it to you. What did you do with it?
Exactly.
So we've been given certain positions in this country. We've been given certain positions in this county and in the state. We got to take advantage of it and use it for the best of all people.
That's true, but you
All
can't.
people.
But you don't get nothing to just be so complacent. Think, oh, everything is fine
You
now.
know, everything's not fine, but
Everything is fine.
wouldn't have
now.
everything been fine.
Yeah,
It's a working situation. It's a work in progress.
exactly.
We got to continue.
Got to continue.
And
We
if
just
you-
can't become to sit down. Like I just said, hear nobody talking about voting. They took off 192,000 people last month. I told the show. There was 192,000 people that swept off the voting roll in Georgia.
Now, what are we going to do about it?
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I say these ministers, all the groups, everybody, we need to see that people register. That's all we got is the vote.
Robo, we have gotten to the point that we feel like we're entitled. And entitlement is a dangerous thing.
It sure is. But how do we break that system where people can get involved in the community? That's like I just said. I compliment Mr. Hall for having all these programs where they're talking about the issues that are affecting black people.
What got us where we are today, we had the right people in the right seat. We
Yes.
got to get back to putting the right people in the
In the
right
right
seat. And it's not
exactly.
about popularity.
Exactly.
You follow me? What can you do for the situation?
Exactly.
What can you do? How you will carry out the mission?
How you gonna carry out the mission? And you can't do it just sitting down doing nothing. Be complacent. Oh, it's fine. I ain't got to worry about it. It don't worry me.
And you can't do it by saying us for and no more.
Exactly.
What's good for the people?
What's good for the people?
What's good for the people? And you're part of the people.
Exactly.
And guess what? If it's good for the people, that means it's going to be good for you also.
Good. I know you. I know you're a good representative, and I just have to give the good deeds to the county commissioners because they, like Chester said, that we had that meeting with Mr. Warnock after he left. He said, "Man, we run our business." He said about how they own property around the church and all that kind of stuff, and he's doing a good job as the chairman.
You know, one of the other things too, we have to be concerned about too, public health.
Yeah.
You see, the county is over the public health.
Yeah, I know.
And if you notice, we did a great job back when COVID. I mean, anywhere you go in Chatham County, you could almost get a shot. If not, could get a shot, they will schedule you for it, and even arrange for you to get transportation to get your shot.
Yeah.
And Chatham County wasn't as bad as some other places.
You know,
outside.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the health situation. I was the first African American chairman of the Board of Public Health. I opened up that Midtown Health Center because, like I told them, it's ridiculous that you build a health center way out here and poor folk can't get to it. If a person got 5 children bring to the health department, that's $5 to get there and $5 to go back home. As opposed to said you got to bring the child twice during the month. So that they finally built. I cut the ribbon for the one Midtown, but I can never understand why they did not keep titles into existence where people have these mental problems and all that. I couldn't understand why they couldn't find the money to do that.
That was on another watch, but I would say this.
That was I don't know whether the city or the county responsible, but
Well, if it's public health, it's the county.
whether the public health they shut down that Titans, and that Titans was helping a lot of people with AIDS, was helping a lot of people with mental problems, and that was it.
We're still doing it. We got the Curtis Cooper Center.
Yeah, we got a Curtis Cooper Center. Then that let me tell you the problem was there.
Several other
And the hospital got
Well,
listen.
Go right ahead.
During my tenure back then, back then in the 90s, the hospitals had gotten so they didn't want to take a lot of injured people. They want to push them to go out to Curtis Cooper play, go out to Curtis. And I said, wait a minute. They said they had a limit how many people they're going to take. I said in the meeting, I said, you mean to tell me if you could only take 20 people and you take, that's your limit, 20 people, and a mother comes up there with a child, burning with a hot fever, what are you going to say? Oh, I can't do, I got the 20 people already, my limit. We can't take it. What are you going to do?
Well, you had your public hospital, like Memorial Hospital.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. All the hospitals had a limit. I'm telling you, they were sending everybody out to Curtis Cooper place at that time.
At that time.
So
I can speak on that at that time.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Everything you got to go back and hit. You got to.
Go back and do.
I always think about like Frederick Douglass said, how can we make educated decisions for the future if we don't look at our past?
You've got to look at the past.
That's right. Got to look at the past, brother.
And move up.
And move up, exactly. So that's my thinking. They close that a lot of these people around here with these drugs, killing people, they got mental problems. And you don't have nowhere to train them and to treat them. And health should be a basic thing. And I want to thank you for being on this show tonight. And you're a good man, brother. And I think, like I said, I would like to see the city government function more like the county functions.
The county, we're doing what we should do.
Yeah.
And we're getting even better. But I would not comment on anybody else, but we are working with all the municipalities.
Well, you're supposed to do that.
We have 8 municipalities in Chatham County, along with
I understand that.
And we also have the
but
unincorporated area.
Yeah, but you got to speak out on the ones that you think is not working together as a team. Not that you have to agree with everything, but it's the way you have to do it. There should be a compromise in the discussion eventually.
You know, if you knock on the door long enough, eventually somebody's going to ask who that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my time is about up. I can talk all right at 8:30, but I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you coming here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I want to say this. The last one, he was supposed to be in here, and I mentioned, I said, well, he should have called me. I'm not no hypocrite. But I understood after I talked with you, you were in Macon at a funeral. Mr. Lockett originally is from Macon, and someone in his family passed. I didn't know that at that time until you told me when you came back.
And I appreciate that. Let me just say this. Our philosophy in the county, first of all, we're trying to make the 3rd district a better 3rd district. By making the 3rd district a better 3rd district, we're going to make the other districts a better district. And by making our districts better, we make the county better. And by when I say the county, I mean the citizens.
Yeah.
And by making the county better, we're going to make the state better.
Exactly.
We got a better Georgia state.
Exactly.
And by making the state better, we're going to make this country better. And if we make this country better, guess what? We'll make this world better. And that's what we're trying to do. Make this a better world than we're living in.
We got a lot of serious problems in our country now. One man, I cannot say how can one man, that one man just wreck this country. One man.
But I'm talking about policies and procedures now, as far as making it better.
Politics.
And policies, not politics.
Exactly. Well, I thank you for being here tonight with Commissioner Bubba Lockett. I really do. Thank you for being here tonight. And as I come to my conclusion here tonight, I want to thank all the people for listening. When we do these programs, we just don't jump up and do, we prepare. And to be able to ask any questions anybody want to ask about it. So if anybody want to call me, 925-1034 for any discussion on the issue that we talk. But talk sense if you call me. I don't have no time for no foolishness. And I'll be glad to answer any question. And I want to thank Commissioner Lockett for being here again. I appreciate your input.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And I just had to compliment the county. And I wouldn't want the city to have a better relationship where they were, you don't never necessarily agree on everything. We'll work towards a compromise to make the betterment of the city. And people could live better and respect one another better. And we have a great city.
Thank you again, sir. And I would just say this to you and your group here. Keep doing the good thing that you're doing.
And like I want to say to everybody again, my hat goes off to Mr. Hall because he seemed to be, I don't know no other group speaking out on issues. I don't know. And I thank him for doing that, all the programs that is in the network. They're addressing issues that affect us as Black people. And we got to educate our children. I try to talk about the history. They're trying to wipe us out.
Keep up your good work, Mr. Hall.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So in conclusion tonight, I want to say, let us keep our faith, work, and one thing. Let all us be one of these here. Be one of these here, a voter.
The church said amen.
I don't care if a man got $1 trillion. He can't pull that lever but one time, just like you. That's the only time that we're equal. And Mr. Trump told that big lie. He lied about the election. But that's what we do. We must vote. Please vote. Please register. Please vote. Because it's very important for our well-being as a race and as a nation. Thank you very much. See you next month and have a good evening.
Good night.
Like this.